there's something I actually want to say, because I've taken my time. I've gone through articles on national journals, international journals, and even continental journals that has to do with Africa. But there is something I still found it difficult to understand. I find it very difficult to understand the fact that here in Africa, we are the ones that have the lithium, the gold, the cobalt, the diamond, the minerals, every rich mineral, mentioned them, the zinc, the oil, and even the coal, and even rich fertile soil and crude petroleum. But the Europeans and the Americans, even the Chinese, they'll just come down here with white paper called the United States dollars, come and get these rich minerals, take it abroad and build good society for themselves, good economic friendly environment for their people, and good life for their society. While we in Africa, we continue to remain in poverty. And I also think, and I can't also understand the fact that Africa is made up of 54 sovereign states officially. That one country like China or Russia, even Japan, will have China-African Summit or Russia-African Summit. That one country, China, wants to develop the 54 countries in Africa. It's something that I don't seem to understand, and I don't think it's possible. And I can still understand the fact that the petrodollar system that was introduced by the United States government and the Saudi Arabia Authority in 1974 is affecting our GDP here in Africa. I can't understand the fact. This is something I still tried as much as possible to think that why is it that even after close to 50 years or 60 years of independence, almost 14 African countries who still have ties with France are still printing their money in Paris. And the name of these countries, the name of the currency these countries are using is thing called CFA franc. I don't still understand all this fact. But let me state this fact very clear. For us in Africa, if we really want to develop, if we really want not to be used as puppet of the West, I think we must think the right way. We must make sure that we determine our own destiny and take a bold step to stop all this thing. It is clearly reported from one of the international outstanding media of the world, I won't mention the name, that out of 200 artisan miners in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 40,000 are children. Children under the age of 10 years, 12 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, working under bad working conditions, under Chinese affiliated company, mining cobalt in the Democratic Republic of Congo. You can see where Africa is being kept. You can see all the menace that is taking place in Africa. But I've always said this one thing. Now I understand the reason why people like Patrice Lumumba choose the African socialism model. People like Steve Biko, people like Sékou Touré, people like Modi Soko, people like even our own Ramat Murtala Mohammed, people like Julius Nyerere, you mentioned them, even Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, Thomas Sankara, because these men really found out that the only way Africans can stop being used as puppet of the West or to continue to remain as backward countries is for us to choose the pathway of African socialism. I'm so much sure, and I remain consistent, that it is only African socialism economic model that can stop Africa from being a backward country. The only panacea to develop Africa and to make Africa to compete favorably with the rest of the world is only when we choose the African socialism economic model. That is the only way. Because we'll start to build industries that will process our raw material at home. This menace and this mentality that everything that comes from abroad, from the Western world, is the best, we should stop it. I always ask a question: how did the Asian tigers manage to develop their economy? When you go through the history of Asian tigers, countries like Singapore, even today, Thailand, I mentioned the rest of them, Japan, is because they choose an indigenous system that suits with them. And the only indigenous economic system that suits with the African people, that can help Africa develop and come out from being used as puppet of the West, is African socialism model. Thank you.